All right, we're back on sports. And you know what? At this point, I just gotta ask Philadelphia fans, the fuck is wrong with you? Are you really this fucking stupid? No, really. I have to just, all common sense just thrown out the fucking window so that you can be a bunch of sheep, so you can be a bunch of drones, so you can just be a bunch of puppets. I don't understand you. I don't. You know what? Before I even get started on that, no, because we will be talking about that today, all right? But before I get started on the professional scene, because it seems like that's what everyone likes to talk about, let's backtrack a bit. Let's talk about the local scene, like we consistently do here. And it's just weird because, I feel like I'm the only person that really talks about the local scene that much. You get these guys who want to beat their chest and talk about how they're from Philly, how much they love Philly, but they never talk about the problems of Philly, do they? They never talk about the local, the neighborhoods and the local sports scenes of Philly, do they? No. They always talk about trying to keep up with the Joneses. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, keeping up with the Joneses is keeping up with the radio stations, keeping up with the network stations, who only talk about college and what else? Pro sports. That's all they ever talk about. And you always hear on the radio, we're the number one sports station in Philadelphia. You should, and that's exactly the voice they used to. In Philadelphia, you should listen the entire time. And I'm thinking to myself, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Because a lot of these stations, once again, are not even based in Philadelphia. You understand that, right? They're not even close to your neighborhood. A lot of these are out in the suburbs. Some of them are out City Avenue. You have to understand that this is, in the people that they have on there, again, are from the suburbs and don't understand what it means to be down in Germantown or Southwest Philly or whatever. They don't know. They don't know. So they don't see the problems that happen on the local sports scene. They never talk about it. They don't even want to, even when you bring it up to them, they don't even want to come down there. That tells you something, okay? They don't want to be, rubbing shoulders with the riffraff, You can't have my shoulder touched by one of those people. No. But I guess since I'm the only person that really talks about this type of stuff, I guess we should get back into the local scene, shall we? When it comes to our local sports and how it's affecting our local sports. So, let's talk about what's happened in the new year, all right? Philadelphia, as you know, the city council has activated the Philadelphia soda tax. Now, before anybody gets this wild and crazy idea what it's about, or some of you are already saying, well, I don't drink soda anyway, so it doesn't affect me. Shut the fuck up and listen, okay? Because obviously you don't know what the fuck is going on. Okay? The Philadelphia soda tax. Now, the reason why this soda tax has been put into process is because local city council has screwed us for years when it comes to helping schools. All right? We've seen people that have pocketed money. We've seen where money has gone into the wrong things, where they could have went into the schools. How many schools, people, in Philadelphia, how many schools have closed down? How many? In a number of, I'm going to say, about 3 years. How many schools? How many charters? Okay. So, with that said, okay, understand that this Philadelphia soda tax, they're going to tax sugary drinks, not just soda, but they're going to tax sugary drinks, and they're going to take those taxes and enroll into this new pre-K program. Now, you're probably saying, okay, that sounds like a good idea on the surface because it's for low-income families that can't afford it. You're thinking this is a win-win, right? Yeah, that's the thing. That's what they want you to think on the surface. Because if you haven't realized by now, this has not been thought out very well, okay? Because it's supposed to help the poor people, all right, the low income. Remember that. With this new tax, all right, when it comes to your corner stores and your bodegas and everything else, your drinks have been taxed so heavily, that's right, in the low income areas that you can't afford this stuff. And I'm talking when you want to go and buy Tahitian treat and stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about, okay? So when it comes to that type of stuff, you have to understand that the taxes on the actual sugary drinks, because what you're failing to realize is that those sodas, all right, only cost about 99 cents. But the taxes cost more than the actual soda. That's right. So your low-income families are hurt in that process. All right? Now, you're probably still saying, well, that's not that big of a deal, right? Then you have your corner stores, right? Your locals, your small businesses who are being affected by this because people aren't buying the drinks. That's right. So now, some of them are losing jobs. Some of them can't, they can't afford the stuff. So apparently they're going to have to start closing down. We've seen other places that refuse to sell, soda to people. Now they're just selling bottled water. This is a problem. Now you're thinking to yourself, this is supposed to be for low-income families, right? This is going to help them. Yet they can't get any soda or any type of sugary drinks. The corner stores, mom and pop shops, their local businesses are being affected. So there's possibly job loss. Or job pay cut, I should say. So that affects them and keeps them poor as well. But let's take a look inside one of the stores, shall we? Let's look and see exactly how much a 20 ounce, that's right, 20 ounce bottle of Sprite will now cost you. That's right. $2 for a 20-ounce bottle of Sprite. Now, before you're saying, well, that's the tax. No, that's the markup before the tax for a 20-ounce bottle of Sprite, because the business has got to mark up the prices now so they can make up the difference because of on their end. So, from the consumer standpoint, you're paying damn near twice as much for a 20-ounce bottle of soda. Now you're saying, well, Event, you still talking about soda, fam? What's going on? So I guess I need to spell this out for you, huh? How many commercials have we seen where LeBron is drinking the Sprite? You should drink Sprite. Or MJ, I want to be like Mike. How many times have we seen soda companies trying to get to you by athletes, by sports, drinking soda? But we don't even have to talk about soda that much. That's just to put the bug in your ear, just about soda, okay? Let's talk about the sugars and additives that are put into sports drinks. That's right, for performance issues, not just sports drinks, but also energy drinks, for performance issues that you need, that they're going to be taxing as well. That's right. So, once again, hitting the local sports community. Your Gatorade has been taxed. Your Powerade has been taxed. Hell, they've even taxed iced tea. They've taxed tea bags. They've taxed... Dude. Alright? You have to understand that anything with sugars and... This is what I mean. They didn't look and say, okay, what sugars and additives are a necessity when it comes to performance? Because for those who don't know, when you're playing sports, you're losing a lot when you are playing sports in your performance. When you're sweating everything, there's a lot that you're losing. You need that pick-me-up when it's over, all right? And yeah, you can do some natural things. Like I said, I've talked about this before. To replace the salts in your body, if you don't want to have those type of drinks, of course, you still need to take your vitamins, but you can eat pickles. You know what I mean? Like, that has a lot of salt in it, so you can replenish the salts in your body. Why do you think when you're playing basketball or whatever, you're doing a very physical, sport, and you're done playing, and let's just say you don't take a shower just yet, you see that dry sweat all over your forehead. You know, that white dry sweat. That's because you've lost so much salts and sugars in your body, it needs to be replenished. If not, then you are dehydrated. You have to understand that. So water can only do but so much. Water's great for you, but understand that you also need the rest of those. You need the rest of those chemicals, to be pushed back up. So understand when it comes to sports drinks, that those things are essential at one point. Now, granted, there are some things that are in sports drinks that are bad. There have been a lot of boycotts over the years over sports drinks. And, companies have gotten rid of some things. You know what I mean? They have, because, what would hurt you. So, that's one thing. But when it comes to sports and playing these type of sports, you know what I mean? And like I said, I'm not talking to the guy who just sits on his fucking couch and watches TV and just thinks he's an armchair quarterback or whatever. When you go out and you play sports, you know the difference, okay? You know how you can feel it in you, how much you're losing, all right? So, that has now been taxed to high hell. So, things that are a necessity now to perform are now being taxed higher. And they think that this is going to help the lower income communities. Now, I'm sure say, the lower income communities when it comes to schooling. As we know, those lower income communities, we still haven't seen any type of results yet when it comes to that. Because they're still trying to push the media that this is great, this is what you should do, and this is going to work out for the greater good. Mind you, this is about backtracking and trying to tax citizens over something they messed up on. Because they messed up with money management when it comes to schooling and programs. You understand that, right? How many times have we talked about after-school programs being shut down? Huh? How many times have we talked about that? Like I said, the money has been mishandled. And now in order for them to get bailed out when it comes to being an inept city council, they want you citizens to pay for it. That's right. Tax you even more. That's right. So understand, when you want to have an alcoholic drink, if it has to be mixed with something, unless you're drinking it straight, you want to mix drink, that sugar is going to tax you. Like, you have to understand that things are going to go up. I personally feel as though now that we're hearing that it may be possible that this sugar tax in Philadelphia may go to the Supreme Court, because companies have tried to sue the city, and the judge threw it out, of course. You can't even trust your judges these days when it comes to here. Anybody who knows about that, we've talked about that before as well, okay? But also understand that other states in this country are talking about going into this tax and enforcing it, which means they're going to do it in every city. Maybe coming to your city soon. You have to understand that this is also another thing that needs to be abolished. It does. Not because I love soda, blah, blah. No, that's not it at all. But understand their reasoning for this is bullshit. It is. It's a scam. It's a cash grab. You can't tell me. I'll put it like this. I would love to see the numbers, because we haven't seen it yet, the numbers on how much of taxes, that the percentage of those taxes are actually going into the program. I want to see that. Anyways, understand that this is a bad thing. And like I said, this is not just about soda. This is more, like I said, since it's a sports video, this is sports related. It does hurt your performance as an athlete. Like I said, if you're playing basketball or whatever, and you're not having those type of drinks in you, and I play like this, you gotta think, back in the day when people used to play football, for those who remember, Jolt Cola. For those who remember that. I remember people used to drink Jolt Cola like crazy because of all the caffeine that's in it, and before a football game. And it would just keep them going, because of what's in it. It just keeps you moving. That caffeine keeps you moving. And you know what? I can understand why people did it back then. You see a lot of people who work out or whatever having energy drinks. What happens? They're getting taxed now? Okay. It's bad enough that energy drinks are high in the sky as it is. Now you're going to tax it even more, and it's going to go up even more. But when you see stuff like this, as opposed to cigarettes being taxed, and they tried to tax it, but that failed. There was just a report for that just not too long ago. All right? You can't tell me that all the things that are bad for you when it comes to like cigarettes are just, it's not that big of a deal because of the tobacco industry. It's not a big of a deal. As opposed to sugar, you know what I mean? Because they're trying to say that this will make you healthier. This will have you consume less sugar. That's bullshit. Especially depending on what you use those sugars for. They didn't think this through. Anyways, speaking of things that weren't thought through, I guess we should talk about the NFL wildcard playoffs. I guess we should talk about that. Things that weren't thought through. The New York Giants. Are you serious? Are you serious? Things that weren't thought through. Receivers, did you really think that going on your boat and posing with Tim's on a boat, first of all, you shouldn't have Timberlands on a boat and on a yacht anyway, but posing and acting like you was the man, and then before the game when it's cold out there, you're walking around with your cameras out, because you want to make sure that social media sees it, and you got no shirts on, and oh yeah, I'm the man, and then you get out there and you drop damn near every pass under the sun. You thought that was hot when you did it, huh? You thought that was going to be hot. And then when it came to performance, because you weren't worried about performance, because that was the day before the damn game. You think in your first playoff game for some of these guys, that this would be something that would be, that you would take serious, that would be special. Your first appearance in the playoffs, you're ready to go, you're ready to roll. And you go and do that. You go and lay a big egg. Instead, because as much as I don't like Eli Manning, because I think he's just an interception machine, which the stats show, all right, he didn't play that bad yesterday. Until, of course, at the end when he was trying to force something, he threw an interception. But you have to also understand that he came to play. The rest of the receivers, that's what they're doing. You're not helping your quarterback. Sounds like Philadelphia a lot, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. But the Packers went out there, went out there, won in dominant fashion. 7 games in a row, I believe that is now. 7-game win streak. And now they play the Cowboys. Cowboys, y'all better pay attention. Because I know y'all beat the Packers earlier this season, but that's not the same team. That's not. Okay? And if y'all think it's going to be an easy run-through, that's something wrong with y'all. All right, Steelers rolled over the Miami Dolphins, which I don't even know why the Dolphins even showed up. They weren't ready for the play. They weren't ready for that style of play. We saw also they weren't ready for that type of weather. I mean, they just weren't ready at all. You got your backup quarterback in, which is kind of sad because Tannehill, you know what I mean? That's another thing that we're going to talk about as well. So I don't want to get on Dolphins fans too much because they should be rejoicing the fact that they made the wild card given their seasons, in the previous couple of years. So you got to say it's a good season for them. The same thing with the Raiders, all right? The Raiders, you had a good season, and you were primed. Some of you were primed and saying you're ready for the Super Bowl. You guys were really on a roll, and then your quarterback gets hurt. Then you got to bring in Connor Cook, and we know that didn't go well. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Seahawks still did, the Seahawks went out there and played. They played what they need to, but there's a number of calls that should have been called. That face mask was atrocious. It was. And I can't believe it wasn't called. But, once again, inept refereeing. It happens time and time again. The wild card has been really fun, I'll say, this weekend. It's been fun to watch, all right? Especially a Giants game. I mean, the Giants game, I'll play this. It was funny. I'll play this. It wouldn't have been as entertaining if it wasn't for Twitter. Because Giants fans are livid. And I'm just watching and laughing. Because once again, you only made it one more week than us Eagles fans. You were so quick to talk about us. You made it one more week. Dallas, if you lose to the Packers, you only made it one more week than us Eagles fans because you had the bye this week, so it doesn't count. It's negated. You better win against the Packers because if not, all that hype, all that talk, all that bandwagoning that you guys had from other people, all right, and all that Super Bowl talk, it all goes washing away. I don't feel bad. I'll put it this. I'll feel bad for loyal fans of the Cowboys. I feel bad for loyal fans of the Raiders. I feel bad for loyal fans of Miami, and so on. But people who shoot themselves in the foot, like the Giants receivers did, I can't feel bad for their loyal fans because they didn't do what they needed to do. They were too busy worried about showboating. And I can't feel bad for the bandwagoners because, like I said, you're bandwagoners. I'm not going to take you seriously. But if Dallas loses, the world pretty much will end. That's pretty much what they're trying to say. And I say this from a media standpoint because ESPN, Fox, NBC, all these major networks have been prime, go Cowboys go. I mean, as we know, ESPN does it every year. But they're just pushing it, pushing. Fox has jumped on that wagon since they got Skip Bayless. But pushing and pushing for the Cowboys. Over and over. It's the only team that matters. And they keep saying it's America's team. You can't be America's team. Look, I understand you're from Dallas. You can't be America's team if the last Super Bowl you won is from the 90s. As far as I'm concerned, America's team, remember, because America likes winners, would technically be what? The Patriots? Possibly the Steelers? So, that should tell you something. It should. However, I think we should move on from American football because I can't wait to see what's going to happen over the next weekend. These games, they've been, like I said, I've been watching them. They've been pretty fun to watch. They have been. I will admit that. No matter who wins or loses, like I said, I don't have any allegiance to it. But to see the way players are acting or players getting toast, because you can't tell me, Dolphins fans, that you're going to let Antonio Brown run up the sideline and nope. Defense getting torched. And Roethlisberger gave y'all a number of gifts when it came to throwing interceptions. When he's getting tackled at one time, he just chucks it up and it's right to your receiver. I mean, right to your D-back because there's no receiver in sight. They were giving you gifts. They were. But you just weren't ready for that cold. But like I said, I want to move on from the NFL. I want to talk about the EPL. Now, last week, I talked about Chelsea, right? I talked about how at the end of all this, I understand that we have to lose. This winning streak has to end sometime. But don't lose to Tottenham. Don't lose to the Spurs. And what happens? You lose to the Spurs. So it's like, a little salt right there. Okay, a little salt, But then you bounce back from the loss and you won at the FA Cup. You did. And you played in really well fashion. It seems like everyone got their groove back. Everyone was happy. Everyone high fives. Oh, we are family. Everyone's hugging. Everyone seems to be family right now. So, fine. I'm not going to get on them too much. You know what I mean? But losing to Tottenham was a big deal. And because of that, Tottenham has moved into third place. So, let's look at the top table of the EPL. Chelsea is still at the top. Like I said, Tottenham has moved into third. Man U still in sixth. So, for these, guys who are talking about how they're going to make this push, I still don't see it. Some of you said in the comment section last week that, they are playing well, but, you have to think as though they're somewhat of a threat. But like I said, from a media standpoint, I don't believe it. Like I said, from a media standpoint, you guys have your team. You guys know what's going on more with your team more than I do. You know what I mean? Because I don't really follow Man U. You know what I mean? So I can only listen to what you guys are saying and then take it into consideration when I start saying things. That's what it comes down to. Unless I really get a chance to get in depth and see how they're performing in a game, which I didn't see them play this week. So that's all I can say. You know what I mean? However, what bothers me is still, again, the bottom of the table. Now, mind you, Chelsea, we have Leicester, was it Leicester City this week? So we should get some points out to stay on top of the table. But the bottom of the table, they're playing this musical chairs bullshit. It's like damn near every week I'm going to have to check this thing. Because the inconsistency between these 3 to 4 teams is still there. It's like there's no urgency. At this point, there should be urgency throughout to get out of that relegation zone. And yet they're just like, oh no, this week we'll go into it. Oh no, you know what? This week you'll go into it. The next week you'll go into it. Like it makes no sense. Somebody has to say, look, enough is enough. And I haven't seen that yet. Of course, the fans are saying enough is enough, but the players and the management is not saying enough is enough. They're just not. And if the players are really that relaxed and saying, hey, we're just playing this to be playing, and we're just here, and they're going to have a defeated spirit about it, then you deserve to get relegated. You do. But, of course, since we're talking about football overseas, you do get the Griffin Force flop of the week.
Your is misplaced, and I'm gonna tell you, don't hate me 'cause
like how football players, American football players, how, they touch helmets, everyone, yeah, we good. That's what happens. You see it in basketball, too. We good. And then you flop. Okay. You gotta be kidding me, man. That's absolutely ridiculous. It just is. Like, these type of things, go away. Please. You hurt the sport, Speaking of hurting the sport, let's talk about basketball. That's right. I need to get on this right now, all right? The Philadelphia 76ers, you fans, I've been waiting to get on this part. There is something seriously wrong with you. That's right. Now, as you know, the Sixers, just not too long ago, won their 10th game of the season. Their 10th! That's right. Mind you, we're almost close to the playoffs soon. 10th game of the season. I'll talk about that in a minute because it's absolutely disgusting to see how people are acting. But it seems like most of the focus as of late has been what we talked about for the previous 2 weeks, which is Nerlens Noel, Jahlil Okafor, and Joel Embiid. That's right. Now, as we know, we've been talking about how this process, what have I said? We need to see if these pieces can gel together, right? And we saw not too long ago that they can't. They can't at all. So, we also know that Nerlens Noel, has decided that he wants to be traded, right? But he still needs to play, so you can see what you can get for him if you decide to trade him. I personally don't think he deserves to be traded, but you still gotta let the guy get a stock up so that overall the company, the franchise, can get something for him if you decide to trade him. Okay? That's how it works. You can't just leave him on the bench, which should tell you something about our coach. All right? Bad coaching. Like I said, bad management, bad coaching. He's not the guy for this place. Bottom line. And then when he does one thing good, he beats his chest over it and makes himself look like a genius, right? After all the 300,000 things that he's done wrong. But, and that should tell you the arrogance of this man. All right? But, understand that now, because of this situation, fans are now saying whether Noel should stay or he should go. And it's also two extremes. So there you go. Right there. Two extremes. So if we play them, then pretty much what you're saying is trade Okafor. Now mind you, Okafor played pretty good last year, despite all his fights and, off the court. But understand, he played pretty good last year. This year, he's not playing well due to being, I don't want to say out of rotation or being out of sync with the rest of the team, but it seems as though the play style does not fit him. It doesn't. Unless you keep him on the bench or whatever. I put it like this. Like I said, I would like to see both of these guys stay with Embiid because you have to still understand you do need a bench. We don't have a bench. We don't. All right? And here's the thing as well. We need to have this talk real quick. A lot of you guys are kissing Joel Embiid's ass. I mean, kissing it to the high moon. NBA vote. He should be in the All-Star game. Nah, son. He shouldn't be in the actual All-Star game. He's a rookie. You know what that means? That rookie should be in the rookie-sophomore game. However, we don't know what the hell's going on with the rookie-sophomore game. We don't know if they're going to get rid of it or what. We don't know what's going on with the NBA because they keep changing things constantly to try and get more ratings. That's what they do. Joel Embiid is a consistent 20 guy, we'll say. Close to being a consistent 20 guy, depending on how many minutes he plays. But you also have to understand, he is not all-star ready just yet. Not yet. All right? Now, it's funny because when you see a talent like Embiid, and you see people, they get so hyped over Embiid. You know what I mean? Like, seriously. What he did the other night, he took those 2 steps and they made that dunk. You see that every day if you're playing with guys who are as big as Embiid. You do. You see that in drills, actually. Seriously, you can go around. If you go to indoor courts, you can see guys who are trying to at least get into the D-League, and they have their trainers, and what they do is they put the cones on the floor, and they have the resistance band, so they're trying to dribble with both hands. Not to mention, all right, you got the other guys who stand there just like this so they can step up and take the jump shot in their face. These are things that you see all the time. This is the difference between people who are actually in the basketball, who play basketball, who know these people and everything, as opposed to fans who, like I said, once again, sit on their ass and watch games and think, that's exciting, I'm a Sixers fan. There's a difference, okay? You have to understand that at this point, Joel Embiid is not ready for all-star caliber. Now, if he gets in, it gets in. If he doesn't, he doesn't. I'm not here to slander the man because, like I've said before, I've given him credit. He's the only thing that's working right now in the Sixers organization. All right, but here's the thing: when you have the media who still tries to push this silver lining in every game, whether win or loss. First off, you can't do that because that goes to show you how much the Sixers organization needs to be shielded, okay, because of their bad decisions. And we've seen these bad decisions for a very long time. Giving $26 million to Kyle Korver and Willie Green, what? Yeah, all right. Like I said, bad decisions for a very long time, all right? And this is before these guys, before them say, well, Kyle Korver just went to the Cavs. This is way before. This is when Kyle Korver was with the Sixers, and they tried to make him the leading man, and he wasn't ready for that at all. He wasn't even a 20 guy. He's still, at this day, still a spot shooter who can't shoot with people in his face. That's what he is. But you tried to make him a leader instead of making him a role player. That's what you tried to do here in Philadelphia, and it failed. Seems like a lot of people forget that. But the media has taken on this process, and they're going to make sure that they try to push this positivity, which you should be honest. Let's be honest here. It's not positive. What's going on is not positive, but they're going to make it seem that way.
10th win of the season, and it's Brook Lopez knocking it down. 11-point halftime lead for the Nets, but the Sixers go on a 13-0 run to start the half. Stauskas to Embiid, then Embiid with the mid-range J. He had 20.
The process is alive and well, and they're starting to now figure out how to bring some of these other young players along, as we see Nick Stauskas there.
I'm going to stop right there. First off, you can hear Rick Fox. The process is alive and well. Alive and well. Really, it's alive and well. And they're trying to bring on all these other players. And Nick Stauskas, should we talk about Nick Stauskas? Okay, let's get this straight, all right? For you to say that the process is alive and well is a fucking bald-faced lie. These are the type of guys who don't even watch Sixers games consistently. You have 10 wins. 10 wins. Tell me, fans, for you hardcore fans that have been watching the Sixers, how many of those teams they've beaten have been over 500? What's that? You're not beating over 500 teams? No, you're beating under 500 teams, and not even consistently because you only have 10 wins. Now, before anyone say, oh, you're being negative, no. Hate to burst your fucking fantasy bubble, but that's reality. It is. But let's see how much more bullshit that the media can push to you, because they want to show you these highlights of shooting all these threes.
Embiid to Saric for 3. McConnell's going to hit Covington for a 3, and Philly wins this 105-95. Their 10th win matches their win total from last year here on January 8th. Oh, my.
I love this part. Did you hear him? Did you hear when they tried to push that positive out, even though it's absolute garbage? The Sixers have just beaten the Brooklyn Nets to match their 10 wins of last year. Oh, my. Anybody want to call that for what it really is? I mean, I know what it is. Do any of you know what that really is? What they're really trying to do there? They're trying to promote a loser's mentality. We now here celebrate 10 wins of an entire season. Mind you, 10 wins back-to-back from last season, so it took 2 years to get back-to-back 10-win seasons, but it took us 4 years of building just to get those 10 wins. Now, I know a lot of people will say, well, the Sixers still can play. I mean, because we're almost into the playoffs, so we'll talk about that in a minute. All right? The Sixers can still win games, and they can still, push more. I'll be generous. How about this? All right? Let's just say the Sixers win 10 more games this season. Let's just say that, okay? Let's say that. All right? Let's just say that. And I'm fine with that if that's what you want to be. But believe, if you get 10 more wins this season, the city is going to explode. You know what I mean? The process is working. We should all get behind it. 20 wins, all right? Because we can't talk about anything that's negative. And it's funny because everything has to be positive. This silver lining in all these games, whether they lose or win, is absolutely ridiculous. It is. You can't sit here and tell me that when they lose by 25, Brett Brown is going to get on the podium, as he usually does, and talk about all the positive things that have happened in this game and how proud he is of our players because he doesn't want to hurt their mentality. No. He doesn't want to do that. Funny part is, when you constantly push this positivity and what you did right, as opposed to pointing out the shit that you did wrong, it doesn't help any. Because you're coddling the players. If you don't address the things that, are wrong, it'll never get fixed. Hence why we are in the process of where we are today. But it seems like a lot of people don't understand that because I don't think a lot of people here play sports. Yeah. They're quick to talk about the Sixers. They're quick to promote the Sixers. They're quick to talk about the process and how much they love this shit. And I told y'all before, in the beginning of the season, because it seems like everyone's starting to, jump on it now. CSN came out and said it was over the weekend. I told you that a lot of these games would be close. I told you that the Sixers would still lose, though. Did I not? They would be entertaining. They would be close. They would be watchable to an extent. If you're not used to basketball. If you know basketball, you know this shit really ain't watchable. But it's close. And to see all these people, yeah, it's close now, it's watchable, I can watch it. I'm thinking to myself, no, even the games that they win, there's still a lot of tons of turnovers, bad forced selection shots, and if you look at it for what it is, you break it down to an actual basketball standpoint, it's the worst basketball I've seen in years. It is. But no one wants to talk about that. No. They just want to say, look how they're playing. Look at all the dynamite action. Look at the dunks and all that shit. Like I said, if you've been around this type of stuff when you're playing basketball, it's nothing new to you. So when someone crosses somebody over, you do one crossover, all right, you got him. Instead of going forward when you got him on the first shot, no. Sixers player would step back and do another crossover. Why? You got him. Take the step. You know what I mean? Things like that. Then you want to fade back and shoot jump shot. And what happens? Doesn't work. And it's just amazing that these people are just promoting this. And like I said, people are falling for it every fucking time. Now, since we brought up wins, about 10 to 20 wins if they make it, I want to address something because Joel Embiid came out and said that, we're 7.5 games out of the playoffs. That's right, 7.5 games out of the playoffs. And now we can do this. We can make a push. We can make a run. I believe in it. And that you, the fans, should believe as well. Okay. This is where we're going now. Fine. Let's talk stupidity. Let's talk it. All right? Let's just say the Sixers make the playoffs. Just to get destroyed. Because, let's be honest here, all right? The Cavaliers don't have any threats in the East now since Atlanta broke up. Chicago's doing bad. Boston isn't on the cusp yet. All right? Look at the East lineup. The Pacers aren't going to do shit. Look at the East. Miami nope, they're not going to do anything. The Cavs are a lock to win it all. All right? They are. Especially with Golden State blowing leads. But you should know, Golden State Cavs, that's going to be your finals. Unless someone in the West, because they have more contenders in the West than they do in the East, maybe they can be upset. Maybe. But if not, the way they've been reloading, you can expect Golden State and the Cavs to play this year, and possibly next year, Golden State and the Cavs in the finals again. So 3 to 4 years of the same two teams. And no one has a problem with that. We're just watching just to be watching at this point, right? Everyone is in that process, right? That's what you're telling. Everyone's rebuilding. That's what you're telling me right now. Because of two super teams. That's pretty much what it is. But the Sixers really feel as though they can make the playoffs and make a run. So here's the thing. If you can't beat over 500 teams, all right, and you would more likely be the 8th seed, which means you would more likely play the Cavs in the first round, you'd get destroyed. You would get destroyed. And people would probably say, well, they're playing up to their standards. They're still young players, as you heard Rick Fox say. These young players, I am so tired of hearing about youth. And people, you will say, well, Yvette, they are young. Think about this for a minute. They've been pushing about youth. Remember, because I had that big thing a couple years ago with Malik Rose about this. This is when Iguodala and all those vets were still here. And they were saying youth. Remember how many years ago that was? Yeah. Now we have this. So it was youth was the explanation before, all right, the excuse before. Now we're still going to reside on youth because of all these guys that you're drafting. So you knew that youth was a problem before, and then you decided to tank and get more youth, which means that will always be your fallback excuse. Right. See, it's not that it's just youth. It's inexperience overall. Because a lot of these guys, when they're in the D-League, play like ass. And they're still not getting the right development that they need. Don't tell me you're going to bring them in the NBA and say, this is where they're getting their development. That is what the D-League is for. And the media has used that excuse. We've seen it. So I don't want to hear youth. I don't. If they're not ready to play, they shouldn't be on the court. Bottom line. And then you say, well, then who would we get to play basketball for our pro team? I think you need to look at your management and ask that. Don't ask me. See, that's the big difference. And then you want to talk about how, I should talk about how, if you just noticed not too long ago in that video, they were showing the Sixers hit all types of threes, all types of them. They're on a roll, right? But anyone who's been watching the Sixers consistently know that they cannot shoot threes to save their damn life. They say, oh, he passed to Covington. Covington is the most streaky shooter on the team, and he's the most reliable at this point because guess what? You got rid of Flash Thompson, that's right. You got rid of Hollis Thompson just not too long ago. You waived him. Remember, this is the same Hollis Thompson that last year you featured as one of your big players. You put him on the big screen and said, this is the player of the night. And he only averages 9 points a game and comes off the bench. And what did I say? How do you put a featured player to Hollis Thompson and he only averages 9 points? How do you do that? Oh, wait, you did that with Andre Iguodala at one point, too. And then he started playing good, which means he only started averaging 11 points a game. But defense. That's what you kept praising. Not the fact that he's not an offensive juggernaut. That's what you needed. But you gave him the big contract to keep him here. Then he decided to leave, and of course, he became the MVP of Golden State. But what is he doing now? First game of the season this year, we saw a big flop by him, did we not? Because that's what he's doing these days. He can run, he can dunk a basketball. He can't shoot to save his life, and he sure as hell can't hit free throws. But that's what we promote. Like I said, look at what's going on as opposed to what the media is telling you. Instead of looking with your own eyes and see what's going on, you're listening to the commentary and letting them create an illusion in your head that's not really there. By means, about talking about the Sixers and shooting threes. Matter of fact, this is basically what we see. And I want you to look at the stats of this, because this is almost an every night thing. Even when they're down by one, they're still chucking up threes instead of, going hard in the paint, trying to get the points and draw the foul, to even get, to get to the foul line and put the team in their penalty. No, you don't want to do it. Just chuck up the threes. Just not too long ago, a couple previous weeks ago, wasn't it? Guys shooting threes from half court. You know what I mean? Because they feeling themselves too much. You cannot tell me that this is okay. There's no rhyme, there's no reason. Okay, so they had somewhat of a good game against Brooklyn. So all of a sudden, the process is there. But you're going to, you ignore all the rest of the bullshit that's happened? Seriously. That's what you want to do. And here's where I have to shut down the fans even more. Because you people are saying, well, we're seeing what we have already. But wait till Ben Simmons gets here, fam. Can't wait, fam. We're going to be good. This is the future. This is the process. Let's talk about that for a minute, shall we? Time to shut you down even more. If you cheer for Ben Simmons, knowing what he has already done with, being on the junk this season, which is why he was hurt, all right? And like I said before, you can ask any personal trainer, you can ask any professional bodybuilder, you can ask any professional nutritionist. What he did cannot be done unless you have an assist. Got that? That's right. Experts in their field know this. Now, with that said, if you cheer on for Ben Simmons, knowing what he's done, you have waived the right to complain about any other team cheating you. That's right. Because pretty much you'll be compared to the Yankees fans cheering for A-Rod. That's what you'll be at this point. And this is before Ben Simmons even stepped on a professional basketball court when it comes to a regular season. He was playing summer league in this, and was taking this stuff, and this was happening. So no, you can't tell me it's okay. You can't. All right? I don't want to hear any more about the Patriots screwing the Eagles over in the Super Bowl because of cheating. I don't want to hear about the Red Sox running up to win, cheating. I don't want to hear any more. I don't want to hear the refs screwing over your team, which is kind of painfully apparent when refs screw over your team. But still, you have waived the right to talk about it since you want to cheer on a cheater, which means you would be a fucking hypocrite. This is what we come to now. We cheer on cheaters. We cheer on 10 wins. More process. I find it really weird that for some odd reason that people are cheering on this Sixers organization in this way. I don't understand. Listen, you look at these players and you say, okay, none of these guys are ready. None of them. I don't want to hear Embiid is going to the NBA All-Star game. Vote for me. Fuck what you want. I'll put it this. You want to know why? Because this team is so bad. It needs so many pieces. That I don't want to hear about personal accolades. I don't. At all. This team, like I said, if you want to get back to being good, then you got to see it for what it is. Vote for me, fuck you. Not voting for you. Not because I don't like you, but because that's just being selfish at that point. It just is. I can't wait to see the NBA votes on how many, write-in votes that Harambe got. I can't wait. Or Hennessy. I can't wait. Or Batman. Can't wait. You have to think, this is the same NBA crowd that for years and years, even though these players were gone, Iverson still had write-in votes for the NBA. Tracy McGrady still had write-in votes for the NBA. Like, these guys weren't even in the league. It goes to show you that this is what NBA fans have come to. And not just all NBA fans, but Sixers fans as well. So when you say NBA vote Joel Embiid, I fucking laugh at it. He's a rookie. Let him be a rookie. Let him. But playoffs. Playoffs. Everyone wants to talk about the playoffs. 7.5 games out. You've got to be fucking kidding me. You just have to. Because, let's be honest here, people. Alright? The Sixers get to the playoffs. Alright? They can't beat Miami. They can't beat the Pacers. It's on a 7-game series. Can't beat Miami. Can't beat the Pacers. Can't beat Atlanta. Depleted Atlanta. They're not going to beat the Cavs. So let's be honest here. 8th seed Sixers going against a 1 seed Cavs. That's not going to do well. Not at all. That's just absolute destruction. It is. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Let's be honest here. The Sixers can only do but so much. Joel Embiid is the only guy right now that is working. But you can't just look at his body of work and say, this entire team is okay. All it needs is a piece here and there. No. Team needs to be gutted. You have no veteran leadership. Henderson's your veteran leadership? You have no veteran leadership. You don't have a bench. You have a bunch of guys who chuck up the ball. You have a bunch of guys who turn over the fucking ball. You have... No. It takes more than that to win a basketball game. I understand that this NBA is very soft these days, and that it's a 3-point league, and a lot of people like to shoot. I get it, okay? You really can't play defense, or they'll call fouling you these days. But you've got to be kidding me that you think that this is where it should go. Embiid is still limited to minutes. You understand it, right? You understand it, because they're afraid he's going to get hurt. And you want to talk playoffs. Right. See, this is where it becomes disgusting. But then again, like I said, the NBA in general has a problem. For those who don't know, who didn't see the Knicks game not too long ago, I want you to listen to the commentary when Beasley travels.
Terry, 17 seasons now.
Beasley called for steps.
Boy, you rarely see that call being made. These guys are traveling all the time.
Is that a travel? Yes, it is. By the letter of the law, that's a travel. When I saw it in real time, I was like, travel. And the ref called. I was like, good call, ref. But to hear the commentary, players travel all the time, and it's not called. There's a problem with the NBA. The reason I bring this up is because I want to bring up this article, which I will put the link in the info bar. For those who don't know, check this out. Adam Silver wants you to pay for the last 5 minutes of a basketball game. That's right. What they're going to do in this system is you're going to get an alert on your phone, and they're going to let you know that your team is in the last 5 minutes of a basketball game. And they want you to pay for it, to tune in to see those last 5 minutes of a basketball game. The reason they're doing this is because Adam Silver admits that nobody is watching basketball in the regular season. He says that people only come for playoffs and then the championship. He wants to change that because they're losing money by putting on these regular season games and nobody's watching. That's right. So his answer is to make you pay for this instead of, fixing the product. Because let's be honest here. If you fix the product, if you fix the bad ref calls, if you fix the flopping, you fix all these problems with the NBA that it has when the players are on the court and the antics, people would watch. They would watch. Or even the front office antics like, tank for seasons. People would watch. But instead, your answer, which is an arrogant answer, is to charge fans for the last 5 minutes of a game. And some of you said, you know what? It's pretty ingenious because if you think about it, people aren't watching, and if it's the last 5 minutes, that's their attention span. That tells you a lot then, doesn't it? 5 minutes is their attention span. That's crazy. That's crazy. They want you to see what possibly may happen at the end because that builds NBA highlights. So then they can put that on their commercials, on their websites. You can see people vining it or put it on a website somewhere where you say, oh my God, that just happened. And then people can go all crazy about it, and then the hype beast can consume itself, and the NBA can keep making revenue. If you don't understand how much you are being fucking played, man. But people will fall in line. They will. They will. Because NBA action is fantastic, right? It's fantastic. It's one thing to be a fan of your team, and it's another to just be a fucking sheep. Or just be fucking brain dead. Because that's what I see. Just, like I said, all around the board. Mostly Sixers fans, because I'm talking about local stuff. Brain dead as fuck. I see it all over Twitter. Not really much in real life. I think reality is completely different. I really do. Like I said, people on the courts and people who walk by, they'll talk to you and they're like, yo, that team is bad. I'm still going to support my team, but they bad. I'm in the same boat. Team is bad. Acknowledge that they're horrible. But you still support them because that's your team, man. But you can still talk about them as if they're just piss poor bad. And they are. They are. They're giving you every evidence that it is. I'm not trying to hear when they lose by 20 or 25. Yeah, they lost by 25. But look, this is what you got to look into. See that play right there? That's some promise right there. Because you know what? You may see that again sometime in the future. And that's your process right there. That's bullshit. And you know that's bullshit. It's absolutely disgusting to see this. And like I said, people in real life don't really act like this. It's mostly internet I see. Whether they're bloggers, YouTubers, guys on Twitter, Facebook, whatever. I want to show that I'm a good fan. So I'm going to back the team no matter what and tell you how positive it can be. And I'm going to follow the Sixers and I'm going to believe in this process. Hashtag trust the process. I'm going to make sure people know. Fucking stupid. That's not the way to be a fan. It's not. Like I said before, you can change. You can always cheer on your team or whatever. But if you love the sport, then you know what's going on. If you play this sport, you know what's going on. You know it's bullshit. And you want to stay in denial. As far as I'm concerned, you can fuck off. Every week, I show you some shit. Every week, I show you how they're trying to get you. I forgot. Common sense and being ahead of the game doesn't get you anywhere. Being a dumbass fan and throwing shit. Or like the guy did last week, where he's at the game. Let's go! Let's go! That gets you somewhere. That gets you somewhere. Forgot. Because being smart is pretty much dead these days. Being honest with yourself is pretty much dead these days. And you want to talk about All-Star Game. Fucking real. Don't give a fuck. That All-Star Game can miss me. As you know, it's going to be the same old bullshit every year. Unreal. Let's vote him in for All-Star. Man, if you don't worry about yourself getting healthy and shit, you want to talk about All-Star Game, fuck out of here. Unreal. Unreal. Hard? Is he working hard? Yeah. But you're in your first year, bro. I'm not trying to hear that shit. I'm not trying to hear it whatsoever. I believe I'm done for the day. I'm sure I missed a number of things I really did want to say while I was talking, but it's all good. This video's long enough. I'm sure if whatever I missed, I'll go back and watch it. I'll address next week to get on you, as a counter. Because I'm so sick of this shit. It's almost like it's been a failed experiment, but the fans just keep digging their graves. They do. They just won't let it die. I don't understand it. Shit is horrible. Your management's been horrible for years, if you haven't realized. But no, let's not talk about that. Should we even bring up that Billy King era? No, not going to talk about that. Like I said. So yeah, keep listening to your stupid fucking radio shows. Keep listening to, to your commentary. Keep listening to, your post-game shows where all they do is hype it up and talk about the positives of shit. Oh yeah, that was a bad play right there. But look at all these plays that were great. Nah, man. Nah. Long road still. And I don't care if Iverson come out and tell you it's going to be a while. Just trust the process. I don't care if Iverson says it or not. He's just a PR guy. He's a yes man too at this point. Let's be honest here. All right? And the only time people really show up to the games at that point before Embiid was because of Iverson. Did not remember last year, and the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that. And the year before that. Do people not remember these things? Okay, because they were the highest attendance. Yeah. Anyways, I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all be safe. I'm out. Because you know what? This is bullshit.